Aun washmiyanet kedashmach the malkuthach nechwe sebiana kekana the shmeya apar haulan lachmas and kananyao mana washwalk lan how bain a kanadap hanan schwaken la hayawain la tatlanisiona ella passen min bisha mithol dilachi malkutha haila tishbochta la alam almin amen. I have 3 scriptures that we're going to be reading, and we'll start in the very first book, which you again know this scripture very well. It's Genesis, 1st chapter. I always say this all the time, and then we're going to jump down. The 26th verse. Then God said, and I give you the way I translate it. Then God exclaimed, "Let us make humankind our image and our likeness, and let them, that's what I want you to notice, have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the winged creatures of the sky, and over land beasts, and over all beasts of the field, and everything that creeps on the earth." And 28, and God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the winged creatures of the sky, and over the land beasts, and over all the wild land beasts that move upon the earth." And the next one, they're all going to tie together. We're going to the book of Exodus, the 3rd chapter. This is Moses. He's on the mountainside of Horeb, and he fell asleep. And in his sleep, he sees a bush on fire. And he approaches that bush because he's wondering what it is. And Moses, start with the 3rd verse, and Moses said, "I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned." And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the midst of the bush and said to him, "Moshe, Moshe." And he said, "Here am I." And he said, "Do not draw near, take your shoes from off your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." It's the 6th verse that I want you to really notice. "Moreover," he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." What I want you to notice is how God associates. God says, "I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Notice the association. He did not say his name. He just said, "I am the God of the human being called Abraham, Isaac, Jacob." And one more. Now you're going to have to jump clear to the New Testament. And we go to the first letter of the Apostle Paul, who did not know his letters were going to be put in the Bible. but he has a lot of good things there. And the verse I wanted you to read, and the chapter is 8, chapter 8, verse 19. Verse 19, chapter 8. Some of you are still trying to find Romans. It's right after the book of Acts. It's Paul. It's the very first letter that's put in there. And that's not the first letter he wrote, but it's put first. It's the 19th verse of the 8th chapter. Remember, when you write letters, you don't write your letters and write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. We did that to his letters. Verse 19. For the earnest expectation of all humankind, all humanity, everyone's waiting. What expectation? What is everyone groaning for? What are we groaning for? Because it goes on with the other verses with groaning. What are you expecting? For the earnest expectation of all humankind waits for what? What are they expecting and what are they waiting on? For what? The manifestation. That word there in Aramaic is Giliana. Giliana. Giliana in Aramaic is the same title for the book of the Revelation. The book in the last book of the New Testament called Revelation is called Giliana. And Giliana means the unveiling. The unveiling. Manifestation comes from Latin, our English word to manifest. Mani means to be at hand. Mani, hand is Latin. That's where we get our word manifest, to be at hand. But the Aramaic there means the total unveiling, the appearing. That's a better way to translate it, is for the earnest expectancy or expectation of all humankind waits for the appearance of the sons of God. Now, we can get to my talk. The idea here is God said, let us make humankind our image and our likeness. So what is the picture? What are we getting here? What we're getting is this, that spirit is humanizing. Spirit is humanizing. And we've got it the other way around. We're trying to become spirit. Oh, come on now. Isn't in all the churches, everyone, and you always get books on a guide to spiritual living. No. Spirit, God, in that first chapter, the revelation is this, the appearance is this. Spirit is humanizing. Spirit is becoming human. And that's what it is. And we're trying to run from it. In fact, when we talk about our humanity, it's always negative. Right? Thank you. Only 3 people believe it. Right. Isn't that so? Am I going to have to dance for you this morning? Spirit is humanizing. That's what the revelation in that first chapter is talking about. In other words, everything that is spirit must become human. Everything that is spirit must become human. And this is the meaning of it. Then he says, and therefore, as spirit becomes human, in other words, that's the image and likeness of God. Spirit is humanizing. And when it humanizes, don't confuse it with your body. Your body houses your humanness. Don't confuse it with your body. Your body is just the house. The human is what's really there, which Spirit is humanizing through us all the time. Mm-hmm. When you feel love and express love, that is God humanizing. Every time you feel joy, and I don't care what it's over, every time you express anything like that, peace, harmony, understanding, enlightenment, truth, anything like that, that is God humanizing through you. Mm-hmm. But we always think of, when we think of human, the minute I make a mistake, what do we say? Oh, I'm only human. No, you were subhuman. Mm-hmm. So that first chapter there is the humanization of God. Mm-hmm. The humanization of God. And we don't think of ourselves as that way, Now, this is different. When I use humanity so much, people always think of the philosophy of humanism. And I'm not talking about that at all, because the philosophy of humanism absolutely throws God out the door and has nothing to do with it at all. But you see, the revelator, whoever he was, I know Moses is accredited for that book, but it was another writer who wrote it, and Moses just penned it, put it down. If Moses did pen it, we don't know for sure. But nonetheless, there it is. Someone penned it. He saw that a human being was God humanization. What a revelation. Most people, when they read that, they don't think of it that way. But this is what it is saying. And this was unusual for the ancient world. This was written, this particular chapter, as I told you the last time I spoke, this particular chapter, what we call chapter 1, was on a separate scroll. And it was put with the Adam and Eve story. And it was written in the 6th century BCE. 6th century. And so this was a complete different view of humankind than the Adam and Eve story. Adam and Eve story all of a sudden shows what a mess human beings became. Right? I mean, if you're going to follow the biblical story, you understand what I'm saying. But not the first one. And so they decided to put this before the second scroll of the 2nd and 3rd chapters of Adam and Eve and put them together. But it kind of got messed up, because we should have been the other way around. Because what happened is the Hebrew writer grew in consciousness and realized, no, that's not the story of humankind. This is the story of humankind. God humanizing and God giving to the humanization, listen to what I said, giving to the humanization dominion. Dominion, because what are we growing through? We're not becoming more spiritual. What we are doing is we're becoming more humane. More humane. Isn't that what we're looking for? We're looking for the humane in humanity. I'm looking for it. And when we read in the papers and all these different things of what ISIS is doing and all that, they have missed the point of Allah. They've missed it completely. Because Allah, when you know Allah, you know love, peace, joy, harmony, and you become more humane, not killers and manglers and all the others. Any religion, I don't care what it is, call it Christianity, any religion that thinks you have to kill in order to promote your idea and ideology is not human. It is subhuman, and it is not religious, it is non-religious, and it is subhuman, and you've gone back into something that we are not. We are not that. Human beings are not that. Human beings are meant to express love, peace, joy, and care for one another. And I don't care what religion you belong to, what philosophy you have, or what you believe politically or any other way. What holds me to you and you to me is being human. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, being human is what counts. Not our religious background, not how our race is, or anything that we came from, or our ancestry, or forefathers, or anything like that. It's being human that ties me to you and you to me. Now you're talking about religion. Now you're talking about, because that means religion, you know, comes from ligaments. It's from the word ligare, means that has come together. Your ligaments hold you together. And that's the real meaning of it. Religion, when it becomes doctrinal, religion, when it becomes all the things, separate us. It divides us. And so, what this writer saw in Genesis is God humanizing, Spirit humanizing, love humanizing, joy humanizing. Now, let's go on. I have to leave Genesis. Let's go to Exodus, where Moses is asleep. You got to realize that all the appearances of God, they were in dreams. All the appearances of angels, they were in dreams and visions when we as human beings fall into an ecstatic state. And when you go to sleep, you know, you fall into an ecstatic state. Because finally, your mind shuts down. What I mean by that is, it doesn't totally shut down. What it shuts down is all that you did all day long. And you're so busy all day long that the inner sense of self can't get through to you. Oh, just 3 people believe that. It's something happens when you go to sleep. That's what meditation does. See, when you do meditation, everything gets dismissed and you become sensitive to your true self. And so, what happens here? Moses is falling asleep because it's too hot. That's why they have siestas, you know, like in Mexico and other places. And it's too hot from 1 into 3. And they close the stores down and everything. I wish they'd do that here, but they don't. We believe in work ethic. You know, work. Right? Come on now. Americans, we like to work ourselves to death. But they close everything down from 1 into 3. You have a good lunch, and after a good lunch, you're gonna need a good nap. So when you wake up, you're more productive. More productive. So, Moses is napping. And that's the only way God can get through to us. Moses, why? Because all the sheep, it's too hot. All the sheep were gathered together. He was taking care of his father-in-law's flock. And Jethro wasn't his name. Jethro was a title meaning your excellency. That's not his name. Jethro, that's Yethro. Yethro means to be exalted, high, your excellency. Because he was a priest. His father-in-law was a priest. He was a Midianite priest. Who's that? Well, another descendant of Abraham. when Abraham married a second time after Sarah went, he married another woman called Keturah, and he had lots of children by her, and one of them was called Midian. And so the Midianites were related because they all came from Abraham. And he was a priest, the Midianite priest. And he was taking care of his father-in-law's flock. And now it was time to take a nap, and he did. And when he did, he saw a bush on fire in his dream, in his vision. He sees this, and he's wondering, what's it all about? And you know, what drives me crazy with biblical people is scientists are looking for a bush in the Near East that gets on fire. The bush that was on fire had to do with the mission that was going to be put on Moses. And he's seeing it because you see, it was his soul talking to him. His inner self was talking to him. You following me now? And then it says an angel of the Lord appeared in the midst of the burning bush. Angel of the Lord means a messenger, not literally God, even though it says, and God said, and God did this, and God did that. No. It's because the angel is in the bush that's on fire, and he's speaking in the stead of God. That's why it says, and God said this to him, who are you doing, all that. I mean, the conversation between God and Moses is coming out of the mouth of the angel, the messenger. And no wings, looks just like another human being, and it's in his dream. And he turned aside to see, why isn't that bush on burning up? And then he heard the voice. Don't come any closer, take off your shoes. You know why we take off our shoes? Because any time you enter a holy place in the Near East, your shoes come off. Because you don't drag in the mundane. You don't drag, you understand what I'm saying here? You don't drag in the mundane. So what happened is, meaning all of his mundane thoughts came to an end. All the mundane thoughts ended. And then he says, I am, look what he says, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Oh, interesting. Notice, didn't say, I am the Jewish God. Right? Abraham was a Gentile. Did you know that? Because the term Jew hasn't even come into existence yet. In other words, I am the God of the soul or the humanity of Abraham. In other words, since humankind is made in the image and likeness of God, that is our humanity, his humanity, then he was the God of that human being known as Abraham. In other words, it wasn't a God in the sky. It wasn't a God in some temple. It wasn't a God in some holy place. It was the God in the holy place of a man called Abraham. He was inside a part of the being known as Abraham. That's how we say it in Aramaic. And Isaac. In other words, we're following a God that came out of another human being. I don't know if you ever thought about it that way, but you see, not out of a temple, not out of a secret place, not out of a rock, not out of anything, but come right out of another human being's heart, mind, and soul. You realize what I'm driving at? What I'm driving at is the God that we know is only the God of our own souls and our own hearts and our own minds and our own beings. And we keep looking for another, and there is no other, because he says, I made you, my image, my likeness, my humanity. You are God's humanity. You belong to God. You are all children of God. All humanity. And that's why Paul says in Romans, the earnest expectation, what mankind is really expecting and hoping for, is this total unveiling and appearing of the sons of God here where we need them. What we did a disservice when we made Christianity and all these religions something that was for a life hereafter. That's the trouble with Islam too. Islam makes it a life for a hereafter instead of a life for in the present. And we did it in Christianity too, and still do it in Christianity. We don't make it for a present life. We make it for when you die. Well, I'm going to become spiritual. Yes, I'm going to tell you, when you die, you'll be totally spirit. So I'm in no hurry to get there. Right now, I want to become more and more and more human and humane, and more humanization in me, so that I can express the goodness, the love, the power, the joy, the understanding and light of God. Come on now. Come on now. Express it. Express it. I don't know what kind of star I was born under, but I know one thing: we're all born under the light and the love and the power and the truth and the understanding of God, and we needn't be separated from one another. Come on, humanity. That's what I'm waiting on. Come on, humanity. Be unveiled. Appeared as you were meant to appear, as sons of God. Sons of love. Sons of joy. Sons of peace. Sons of healing. Sons of help to all humanity.